Hello, my name is Sandy. My company is Solar Power Health, and I am an astrologer. And today I'm going to talk to you about the 12th house in astrology because it's one of those conundrums that a lot of astrologers have different opinions on as to what it does, why it's there. But there's some things that will never change. So here are some words that help identify what the 12th house in our charts means. It's the house of the subconscious, the house where our dreams and those things that aren't tangible to us are. It's also the house of illusions and disillusions. You know, whenever we have a vision, a thought, those places that go in the deep depths of our psyche, this is what the 12th house rules. So it's sometimes given the house of undoing or endings or the shadow self. And that can give this really dark connotation. And I'm not going to lie, the 12th house is a house that a lot of us can struggle with. However, it's where we do our greatest learning, our greatest magic, our greatest manifestations, and our greatest growth as well. And it is the house of endings in the fact that it's the last house of the zodiac before we get back into the first house, which goes right back to our physical being here on this planet. So this is this house that goes into those below the surface of us is an interesting place to look. So the sign that rules it can give a lot about the energetic imprint of what's in the 12th house. For example, if you have Aries in the 12th house, then here's going to be problems with asserting yourself or problems with healthy boundaries that most, people learn eventually to present in their life. For you, it's always going to be almost like you can't see where the boundaries are. So others intrude in your world as if you had no membranes to recognize and defend yourself from that. If you have Taurus in the 12th house, well, then it's going to be the senses, the tangible, material things that you have a struggle with. So it could be the mystery of finances and money, and the material world remains hidden from you for years. So you can fall into the traps of hedonism and the chase for satisfaction in this material world. These are people who have a hard time feeling real pleasure. So what happens is a lot of them can fall into that pit of, overeating or overindulging some form of the senses to try to chase that, and the spirituality and the real talents can slip away. So those are some examples of some imprints of the signs in the 12th house. But what about if you have planets in the 12th house? Because these are going to be quite significant, especially if it's your personal planets or the sun and the moon. So let's think of the sun in the 12th house. The sun in the 12th house, this is going to be someone who feels like they don't have any solitude or privacy. They're going to feel like their ego is on display for the whole world, and it's shared with the whole world. And because the polar house of the 12th house is the 6th house, which is a house of health and the house of service, the 12th house is also a house of service. However, with the sun in the 12th house, there's no rewards for all of the service you do. It's almost like you keep giving and giving and giving, and there's nothing ever given back in return, appreciation wise. So it can be very discouraging here with the sun in the 12th house. And you may also feel like you need to hide, or you may need to sacrifice your ego. You need to shine the light on someone else always. So these are some examples of the sun in the 12th house. Let's go to the moon in the 12th house. The moon in the 12th house, because the moon governs our emotions, this is going to change the story a little bit. These are going to be people who feel like they can't connect to their emotions. It could be that from a young age, you internalize that you should not display your emotions, that you should not acknowledge your emotions, and you keep these emotions are kept separate from you. So this causes its own frustrations and its own symptoms and its own patterns in your life. And oftentimes these people, because they're so out of touch with this balance, they need to retreat and they need to go into solitude and figure stuff out. And advice for those people is when you're there, figure it out. Connect to your emotions. Don't just let them control you, because the whole purpose is growth. Because the 12th house is also a karmic house and the moon can represent our mother, this can also show a relationship struggle or lack of relationship with a mom in this person's life, in which case they would have to, or they might feel like through guilt they have to always work for their mom or something like that. So there can be a little bit of that as well. When we look to karmic houses, we also check the planets in there to see what the pattern is. So these are some examples of 12th house energy. And a lot of astrologers will also put institutions in there, such as jail or hospitals. For me, I like to think of it more as what yokes you. Where's your bondage? What straps you? Because those cords, those attachments, those bonds that can't be seen, that's part of that 12th house energy. I hope you enjoyed this. If you'd like to learn more about the sign that rules your 12th house, or the planets that perhaps are in your 12th house, and basically the story of your 12th house and your deep hidden psyche, I would love to go there with you. You can book a reading on my website at www.solarpowerhealth.com, or you can message me directly via here. Have a great day.